If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense, you could face hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and expenses. So carry the protection of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members. Unlimited defense budgets, unmatched legal expertise. Carry the same level of support police officers have. Carry CCW Safe, the highest caliber.
And we're back, and tonight I'm joined by my co-host, John Wheaton, and our in-house subject matter expert on Intel S2. How you doing, y'all?
You doing take good.
An import, turn it into cheer.
Yeah,
outsource factory and relocate it here.
Go ahead.
If it wasn't for all the winning that we're getting from Trump, I would be over 2025 based on everything that's happened to me so far this year. So.
Well, that's funny because I was just fixing to say to our audience, y'all may not know this, but John was a U.S. Air Force veteran, 12 years, an engineer, co-owner in an 82-acre range where they train SWAT teams in Southern Illinois, and he's now added the trade of being a plumber to his repertoire.
It's called being a landlord. Yeah, it's called being a landlord with not enough property to actually warrant paying somebody to manage it. So.
I dubbed thee Mario.
Yes. I've felt like that this week. Yes. Cold weather destroys pipes, by the way. I'll just leave it at that.
We are absolutely going to do a thumbnail at some point with John's piece on Mario. Mario and Luigi. Dave and John. All right, so we are going to jump right in tonight. Our top story is the trade war, which has kicked off with Canada and Mexico. We're not going to discuss Mexico very much tonight because, quite honestly, the economic impact for us is absolutely minuscule. And to be quite frank, the economic impact for us with Canada is pretty minuscule as well, but pretty big for them. And, I mean, I'm just going to put this out there right away. We asked Canada to stem the flow of fentanyl and illegals and terrorists coming across our northern border. And instead of helping us with that, they turned around and said, well, we're responsible for less than 1% of that problem. So we're going to go into a trade war with you. And that didn't come from Justin Turdo. That came from his boss, Klaus Schwab at the WEF. And they decided that they're specifically going to target red states that voted for Donald Trump. It's going to be an absolute unmitigated disaster for our cousins in Canada. And we love people in Canada. We hate your government, but we love Canadian people. And it's a shame that they've chosen to go down this path, because I'm going to pull up first the truth that Trump sent out on Saturday. Okay. So today I've implemented a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada, 10% on Canadian energy, and 10% additional tariff on China. This was done through the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, because of the major threat of illegal aliens and deadly drugs killing our citizens, including fentanyl. We need to protect Americans. It is my duty as president to ensure the safety of all. I made a promise on my campaign to stop the flood of illegal aliens and drugs from pouring across our borders, and Americans overwhelmingly voted in favor of it. So Turdo and his minions had a press conference last night where they announced all of these tariffs they're putting on our goods. And, they get up and they're like, we're putting these tariffs on $155 billion in products. $155 billion is a lot of money. It is a very, very small portion of our annual GDP, which is way over 20 trillion now. So everything's relative. So after Trudeau, or Turdo, as I like to call him, announced the tariffs they're putting on us, Trump said, okay, we'll just double the tariffs on you. We'll go 50% instead. And which I thought was absolutely brilliant on his part. So here's a short article that I'll read us through this, and then I'm going to get initial thoughts from both of you. So Trudeau's trade war bet targeting red states to weaken Trump. Canada's retaliation for Trump's tariffs isn't just about trade. It's political. Trudeau's government is targeting products from Republican strongholds like Florida, Tennessee, and Kentucky, hoping GOP lawmakers will crack under pressure, which, by the way, the GDP of Texas is bigger than Canada. If that doesn't work, Canada is ready to play hardball by restricting U.S. access to critical exports like oil, gas, and electricity. Alberta isn't thrilled about the idea, but Ottawa is willing to take the gamble. Turdo thinks he can force the red states to turn on Trump, but if he's betting against Republican governors in Texas, he might want to rethink his strategy. John, I'll go to you first for your initial thoughts of this development.
Well, it's very interesting. I'll say this because Turdo, excuse me, I mispronounced his name. He took a trip down to Mar-a-Lago before Trump became president and begged him to not tariff anything in Canada, saying it would destroy their economy. So this did not come from him, as I believe that we're dead on the money, Chris, with. This came from his controllers, his handlers, or whatever you want to call them, at places like the World Economic Forum, just trying to cause chaos and trying to stir up crap that's not even true. Canada and Mexico combined is something like 10 or 15% of our total GDP, as far as that goes. As far as actually, it's like 10 to 15% of our total import. So it's very, very small. It has almost no effect on us. There'll be some things that are going to be affected price wise, but there are almost always some kind of American version of that. People don't realize that we still have a very large amount of stuff that's actually produced, and goods and services here in the United States. So this is going to be a very short-lived war, I think, because it's like me stepping into the ring with prime Mike Tyson. It's just not a fair fight. We're just going to clobber them, and the short-term effects of it that we're going to see. You might see some inflation on some products, but long-term, he's going to get them to the table, and he's going to get whatever he wants, in my opinion.
We absolutely are going to. I mean, I've got a video queued up specific to oil and the fact that they don't have any refineries to deal with sour crude, and we do. They can't afford to do it. But imagine being a maple syrup producer in Vermont and New Hampshire right now. They've got to be licking their chops, as one example of many of American companies that will benefit from this.
And understanding, I would imagine a lot of our audience understands how tariff works. Tariff is it is technically a tax. It's not really a tax, but it's when imports come in to a country that has a tariff, we increase the price of that import by whatever the percentage of the tariff is. What that does on our end is, yes, you may pay a little bit more for that. What it does which actually what happens is people tend to buy something else. They won't buy the product. So if you have a 25% tariff on, say, a car that comes from Canada, guess what? Somebody's going to buy an American-made car over that Canadian-made car. What that does economically to the country that is bringing those goods in is it actually destroys their economy, especially if you're a small economy. What this will essentially do is, if they play this game for long enough, Canada will become a third world country, much like Mexico, because they can't handle that amount of stress on their economy and their means of production. So it's a leverage tool that is used to get what we want in trade. And if I had my druthers, I'd say get rid of freaking NAFTA. Just say, hey, NAFTA's gone.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, NAFTA essentially outsourced a ton of our jobs to Mexico. Never thought it was a good idea to include Mexico. We had the Auto Pact with Canada that started in the late 1960s. And for many years, that was the predecessor to the free trade agreement. Before it was NAFTA, it was just the FTA. And there were a lot of benefits of hitching the two economies to each other. But when you introduce Mexico as a third world country with incredibly low labor rates, that's what upset the whole balance as far as North America is concerned. And before I turn over to you, S2, I wanted to mention that Trump was playing 5D chess here, and he's not even trying to hide that he's playing 5D chess in this particular instance. This is part of a larger strategy of eliminating income tax. No more internal revenue service, external revenue service. The rest of the country can pay for the privilege of getting their products into our economy, our market, end of story. And that will more than allow us to nuke income tax, and people will have better spending power, more disposable income. And all you got to do is look at history. This is the way that America was funded from the mid 1800s through to the early 1900s until the global cabal under Woodrow Wilson started the income tax, which was to fund the First World War temporarily.
Mhm.
But of course, crooked politicians never give an inch back, right? So apologies for the delay, S2, but let's get your high level overview on this trade war.
I don't think Trudeau really understands how economic works. Being part of this World Economic Forum, I don't think he really gets it. We have all of the resources we need right here in the United States. And another dimension of this chess, that this isn't even chess that Trump's playing. He's playing checkers at this point.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
He's trying. This is going to add another dimension onto the plan of bringing U.S. manufacturers back to the United States, which is what he was trying to do in his last term. It's one of the reasons I bought the air conditioning unit I bought, was because he went to that company. They said they were moving it down to Mexico, and he said, no, this is what we're going to do, and you're going to keep it here. And they said, they came back and they said, sure, we're going to keep it here.
Yeah,
and I was like, when I heard that, I needed a new air conditioner. So I'm like, I'm buying that air conditioner. It costs a little more than some of the others out there, but hey, I'm getting behind American businesses. We do a lot of business around here with local people. We don't necessarily, we try to stay away from the big box stores as much as we possibly can and stay with our smaller local stores. And I think that's part of the plan here.
Yeah, well said, S2. So we've got an article up here from the Gateway Pundit. Canada has detailed retaliation plan to harm Republican states the most in response to Trump's tariffs. I knew that they were going to engage in this just based on the fact that the WEF controls them. But this just puts some details to it, right? So why is Canada targeting Republican-led states? President Trump officially imposed tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China on Saturday after they ignored his threats. Trump slapped the tariffs on. I'm not going to reread that part. And so Canada's retaliation is really targeted at the red states more so than anything else. And if you want to read this article, go to patreon.com/survival dispatch. For tonight's situation report, you have to be a paying insider. $9.99 a month. You get a curated daily newspaper 7 days a week. And you also get in on our Signal chat. So let's actually hear what Turdo has to say here. It's a very short video, 37 seconds.
And now is also the time to choose Canada. There are many ways for you to do your part. It might mean checking the labels at the supermarket and picking Canadian-made products. It might mean opting for Canadian rye over Kentucky bourbon, or foregoing Florida orange juice altogether. It might mean changing your summer vacation plans to stay here in Canada and explore the many national and provincial parks, historical sites, and tourist destinations our great country has to offer.
Did you guys catch this asshat earlier in the week say that he was going to put this tariff on a ketchup company? I can't remember which one it was. And like a matter of minutes later, the company responded, hey, we manufacture our ketchup 15 minutes from your office. We're a Canadian company.
Well, you know what? You can't eat Electrolux vacuum cleaners. So there, I said it.
Wow.
Yep. Crazy stuff. I mean, the guy's, he is a puppet. He is not in Trump's league. He's a high school teacher, okay? And drama teacher at that. So you got a drama teacher versus one of the most prolific deal makers in history. So I've got a video here, 2 minutes and 58 seconds. I'm going to play the bulk of it. This guy gives a great explanation as far as the energy piece is concerned.
Woo, buddy, you're not going to like how this goes. Fun fact, spent 4 years in the North Dakota oil fields. First year was as a flowback operator. The next 3 years was as a lease operator, or a pumper, as it were. Yep, 4 years of oil field work in the great state of North Dakota. Oofta. So does the United States purchase a lot of Canadian oil exports? Survey says yes. We actually purchase 97% of the oil that you guys export. And that 97% of oil exports from Canada that we purchase in the United States, that accounts for 81% of your guys' entire oil production. Now, for some reason, in your head that we desperately need to purchase this oil from you. Our oil and energy sector is going to die without Canadian exports. No, it's not. There's a very specific reason we purchase so much. It's because you guys sell that oil to us at a discount. Why would Canada sell so much oil at a discount? Well, simply put, it's because about 75% of your guys' total oil production is sour heavy crude. Oh, well, why doesn't Canada just refine their oil, eh? It's because you guys can't. Your refineries can't handle sour crude. And you guys don't even have the money to maintain or build the infrastructure that it would take to transport this oil across your own country. And that's if you were able to refine it in the first place. So the reason why we get to purchase the lion's share of your oil production at a highly discounted rate is because it's raw fucking oil. And sour oil, packed full of H2S gas, which is the second most lethal gas on the planet, right next to what happens when you burn it. So because it's so heavily discounted, we actually save money by purchasing your exported oil versus just refining our own oil coming out of the Bakken Shale, which accounts for 61% of our oil production, which is sour heavy crude as well. Now factor in that crude oil accounts for 16% of anything that Canada exports, and we buy 97% of that. Who's going to be hurting more economically if we just stop buying that raw oil from you and deal with refining our own shit? Crude oil by itself is a $124 billion a year industry in Canada, by the way. Just selling raw oil down the Keystone pipeline to American refineries. $124 billion. Canada, you guys do not have the leverage that you think you do economically. And quite frankly, the United States is tired of playing nice and letting you bend us over the table and going in with no lube economically. So I'll say it again for the people in the back. If you guys just stopped ripping us off, you wouldn't be looking down the barrel of a 25% tariff. We're not bullying you. We're just making shit equitable on both sides. So get your shit together or figure out just how big of a boot in the ass you guys are going to get if you try to go into a trade war with the United States.
So my observation is, I thought that the WEF and all of their tools like Justin Turdo were big fans of equity. I thought they wanted equity for everybody. Equity for everybody but America, maybe.
Well, and that's the real thing is Canada would have been invaded a century ago if it hadn't been for them being attached to us at the hip, literally. We have been the reason Canada has been able to successfully prosper with no retaliation of Russia marching into their borders or a European country wanting to take over Canada. It's just a reality. And they've gotten kind of cocky and they've forgotten what the reason that they are so prosperous and so economically sound is because of us. You want to get into a pissing match because you don't like our president? Well, good luck. This guy's way smarter than you, and he's done way more business than you have.
I just want to quickly address this, S2, before you jump in. Rock uproar. No one hates Canada or even Mexico. Really, what we hate is being taken advantage of, being nice to those who are not nice back. What I would say is we despise the Canadian government because they are a WEF pawn. And Klaus Schwab brags about that on a regular basis, but we love our Canadian cousins. We don't hate the Mexican people either. We hate the Mexican government, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the cartels, which have absolutely been raping America in every way possible. So I agree with Rock's comment there. And here's a comment that I was not aware of from Aaron Woods. Canada government doesn't allow the refining. It's against our ridiculous regulations. And that would be in line with the WEF for sure. So S2, you got a good belly laugh out of that. Tell me what your thoughts are on this sour crude oil.
This guy hit it on the head. It's just what I said. We've got our own resources here. We don't need their shit. Klaus Schwab coming out after Davos and saying, we must make the Americans come into compliance. You think this is going to do it? You fucktard.
Yeah, John, while we were in Vegas together, I don't know if you caught it. I can't even remember if I mentioned it to you or not, but the annual meeting with the WEF or for the WEF was in Davos, Switzerland while we were at SHOT Show. And during one of his initial speeches, Klaus Schwab said that the American public can no longer be trusted to elect legitimate governments and that they were going to have to whip us back into shape. Meaning you and me and S2 and our audience, the American voter. And then 2 days after that, he said that if somebody wants to assassinate Donald Trump, that the WEF will not only give them a pardon, they will make them a hero of history so that they can continue with their one world government because they know better than we do. And all that is confirmation of what we've been saying all along. The Second Amendment makes America the firewall between globalism and freedom. Full stop. They can't defeat us as long as we're armed. That's all there is to it. And before somebody chimes in with the crap from Joe Biden saying that you don't need AR-15s, you know, you need F-15s to fight the government. Okay, here's some numbers for you. And they've gone down since Biden got in because of people leaving our military. But if you take active duty military, is around 1.4 million people. We used to have around 1 million reservists. It's now under 1 million. We used to have over 1 million active duty law enforcement officers. It's 660,000 as of today. So in Trump's first tenure, we had approximately 3.2 million bodies in those roles. We now have approximately 2.4 billion bodies in those roles. Let's just, for argument's sake, say that they all follow unconstitutional orders from a tyrannical government, okay? Take 3% of the American population, just like 1776. Okay, what's that number? 12, 13 million people. 12, 13 million people with AR-15s, amongst other guns, would steamroll a force of 2.4 million people. And realistically, at least 2/3, maybe even 75% of law enforcement and military is on the side of the good guys, not the bad guys. So when Joe Biden first started that, I used to say, okay, well, what Air Force did Vietnam have, North Vietnam have during the war? They had 21 MiGs at the very beginning of the war, but their pilots were so inept, they were taken out in the first week of the war. Okay, so there's no Air Force, okay? What Navy did they have? They had no Navy. What heavy artillery did they have? They had no heavy artillery. What they had was a bunch of shitty Russian and Chinese knockoffs of AK-47s. And we lost because we didn't have the wherewithal to finish the job there. But to say that you can't win a war with small arms is total bullshit. My next one would be what happened in Afghanistan to both the Russians and us.
Yep.
And I was also going to say, I forgot. Sorry.
Just holler when it comes back to mind. That's why I have my sometimers pen with me. I never go anywhere without it now. So if somebody else is talking, I can jot down my notes.
Let's think about this too. We could use the Russians in World War II. They were backed up against the wall at Stalingrad. They had people fighting in the streets. They were manufacturing firearms in basements at the time. And the German army was all but beat. But the reason that they lost was because, one, the Russian winter is always defeated its enemies. And two, they just had more will to fight. The army with the will to fight, whether it be a ragtag group or a very disciplined army, they are going to win. The ones that have the will to win. And that's ugly and nasty, but it actually historically is absolutely true.
I was also going to add into that, and let's not forget about the good, hard trained GWAT warriors that are out there in the civilian world right now.
Boy, how
Yep.
You said a
and we all
mouthful
know
there.
a ton of them. And you think that they would? You think that people like that were designated terrorist groups like Mike Glover and stuff would be on their side? Hell no.
Yeah,
Absolutely not. He's going to go train all of us to be basically Green Berets.
I predicted it's only a matter of time before someone in the chat or the comment section down below slams Mike Glover as a CIA asset, a shill, whatever. You know what? Mike Glover is a diehard patriot. He's a great guy. He's a personal friend of ours. We've shot TV shows with him. So, you can try to elevate yourself by putting other people down, which makes you a shitbag. or you can try elevating yourselves by elevating everybody around you. Want to give credit to Grapes. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Well, do you know why these guys do go work for the CIA? Is because it's so freaking well funded. They make a fortune doing that work. Do you think that the guys from Benghazi are going to be on the side of the government? Those all were CIA contractors, guys, and they're very much patriots.
Yeah, one of them is a personal friend of mine.
Which, by the way, not on this trip, but the previous trip, I had the pleasure of meeting John Tig from Benghazi. Yep. What an amazing man. I'll just throw that out there. Super guy. I want to give Gramps a shout out here as well. I've been calling Justin Turdo for years now. He calls him Trudeau. That's pretty good too.
Yes.
I just call him Trudy.
That works as well.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. And I had a back and forth with some, low IQ person on X today on this particular topic. And the guy kept saying it was 43 pounds. It was 43 pounds of fentanyl that came across, according to Biden's CBP, 43 pounds of fentanyl came across the border during that tenure, I guess, last year, right? Number one.
This fucking idiot doesn't understand how much fentanyl it takes to kill somebody.
Right. So this guy points out that's 10 million lethal doses, retard. I love seeing the word retard back since Trump issued his executive order saying we have to call people fags and retards again. But anyway, no, here's the thing. Like you said, S2, that's 10 million lethal doses, number one. Number two, it's probably significantly higher than that because the labs in Mexico that the cartels and Hezbollah are taking the precursors from China and making fentanyl is very rudimentary. The labs that have been busted in Canada, on the other hand, have been very sophisticated. There's two ways to make fentanyl. One way is literally like throwing the stuff into a petri dish and mixing it up, and it's not refined like the sophisticated manner is. The labs in Canada are highly sophisticated, so it's much more potent. And then I would add one final comment to this, and you guys can make any other comments that you may want to. For every rat you see, there's 1,000 that you don't see. Mm-hmm. So we've got underreporting of crime on the part of the old Biden admin, number one. Number two, if the CBP with their hands tied captured 43 pounds of high-grade fentanyl, it's an order of magnitude more than that came across the Canadian border.
Well, look at what they just seized over in the ports. I forget how much that was. I mean, I think that was cocaine and fentanyl that they had seized over there. I want to say it was like $243 billion worth.
It's massive, right? And I mean, again, just apply logic to the situation here. You're in charge of Canada. You're the Prime Minister of Canada, and you have a choice to make where you can help tighten down the border and reduce the flow of fentanyl into America, as we asked, reduce the flow of illegal aliens into America, as we asked, which, by the way, if you check the numbers for the Northeast in particular, we're talking many thousands of percent more illegals coming across the northern border than prior to Biden. But here's the next thing that I haven't seen a lot of people discuss, and it needs to be said. Canada has flooded their country with shit bags from third world shitholes, and there are all kinds of terrorists in Canada that are ready to launch and break into America. So to suggest that there's no problem with the border is complete BS. But again, we knew this was going to happen because Justin Turdo takes his orders from Klaus Schwab, and there's no way that they were going to do anything to help strengthen America, and they certainly weren't going to do anything that would make Donald Trump look good. So we'll move on from that one to the next one here. Here's some numbers from Stock Talk. Actually, let me pull the whole list up here. So Mexico exports to U.S. as a percentage of GDP, 35% of their GDP. Canada exports to U.S. as a percentage of their GDP, 22%. U.S. exports to Canada as a percentage of our GDP, 1.5%. U.S. exports to Mexico as a percentage of our GDP, 1.2%. You are talking an order of magnitude difference. We are by far in the driver's seat. Donald Trump will not blink. Justin Turdo is going to take an ass fucking like he's never had before. So I don't know if
let's be honest.
Well,
your last comment is what I was referring to. I'm sure he's taken one like that before.
I thought this mental midget resigned anyway.
He did.
No,
but
they can't resign. He can't actually be replaced until their official election, I think, later on in the year, right?
No, it's like a primary. So the Liberal Party will themselves elect a new leader, and at that point in time, that person will become the prime minister without a single Canadian voting for them, which is a fault of the parliamentary system. And Turdo will step aside. But I used the harsh words that I used on purpose. He's a homo. His wife left him because he's a homo. There's a whole background of instances of people being paid off, young men being paid off because of shit this clown has done. He's no different than the clowns we have on this side of the border that have engaged in very deviant sexual stuff. And they all do this, right? This is what the WF playbook is because they find out what somebody's proclivity is, and then they put them in that situation. They build an evidence trail and they hold it over them. They say, you are going to do this. And if you don't, we are going to expose all of the things that you have done. You know, anybody who goes hard against Trump, you know, that's the case as well. So here's a 42-second video. And actually, let me click through this as well. So Trudeau to impose 25% tariffs against the U.S., stating it will cost American jobs. No, it won't. 70%. It'll actually create American jobs. 77% of Canada's exports go to U.S. 17% of our exports go to Canada. Our economy is 13 times larger than theirs. 42 seconds.
Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives.
So one of the alternatives, I'm not sure if y'all caught it, this has been a rapidly developing story over the past 24 hours, is some major Canadian corporations have announced that they're closing their operations in Canada and they're moving to the United States because if they lose the United States market, they're done. They're out of business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you know, and in a broader picture, as you said earlier, Chris, this is
John,
Trump's.
I think S2 should have S2 needs to have like a Beavis and Butthead avatar tonight. Match. Wow. Sorry.
I am Cornholio, deep before my bunghole.
Trade war.
Fire.
So I would say that the broader picture here is there's another thing that nobody's really talking about. They lowered the corporate tax rate in Trump's last term through legislation.
Significant.
I mean, significantly. Now Trump is talking about having the lowest global corporate tax rate, or equal to the lowest global. I think it's 14%, and that's Ireland, if my memory serves me correctly. That coupled with these tariffs is going to put jet fuel. If this goes on for any length of time, weeks, months, whatever, the amount of money these companies stand to lose, they will say, okay, they're going to lower the corporate tax rate. We're moving to America. Like some companies have already said, it doesn't take that long when you're talking about billions of dollars. These companies are always calculating their, well, you know, you worked at a very big tech company, Chris. It's constantly calculated, and they will spend millions of dollars to build new facilities very quickly and move to another country because the amount of money they will save in the long run is drastically different, drastically lower.
Well, keep in mind the large publicly traded companies have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders.
Yep.
So they have to maintain their revenue, period. And they have to find creative ways of doing it. And Trump, again, is playing 5D chess. And I agree with you and S2. You know, we're at the checkered stage right now, which is still above Turdo's head. S2, did you want to weigh in on something?
No.
Okay.
Fire.
Oh man, what did I start?
Oh, dude, I got a million of them, dude. Beavis and Butthead was my favorite.
Really? I'm shocked. All right. So you guys tell me what you think. I wonder which leader will blink first. Put a 1 in the chat on whatever platform you're watching us on. We're broadcasting half a dozen different platforms. Put a 1 in the live chat if you think Turdo is going to blink first. A 2 if you think Trump is going to blink first. Interested to see who's actually watching tonight's episode.
That guy's a fag.
Oh my God. I don't know about your thoughts, John, but I mean, we have opened Pandora's box.
Yeah. Yep. We have.
Oh my God.
Created the monster. Frankenstein is here.
So here's Turdo's second in command, Chrystia Freeland. And I think she's one of the front runners to be the head of, look at everybody's ones everywhere. I've got all
size 1, plus size 1.
Yeah. JM Ferrucci's got like 10 ones in a row. That's awesome. That's funny as hell. I don't see one number 2 out there at all. There'll be a troll who comes along and does that. Anyway, Freeland here is one of the leading candidates to take over from Justin Turdo. She is one weird person. Have you guys seen the videos of her with her eyes darting all over the place and acting like she's
she's on meth?
She's having drug withdrawals. It is insane. It is absolutely insane. So here's a 58-second video of saying that Canadians are hurt and furious and Trump needs to knock it off. Yeah. Okay.
Americans have to understand how hurt and frankly how furious Canadians are. Our sovereignty is being challenged. And so, yeah, regular Canadians across the country are coming up with ways to stand for Canada, to fight for Canada, to defend Canada, but mostly to say to our American neighbors, guys, just cut it out. Just stop it. This is a terrible idea. And yes, we are going to use all the tools in our toolbox. You mentioned a little bit earlier how the United States depends on China, critical minerals and metals that you need for semiconductors, that you need to build electric vehicles. Well, guess who also produces those? Canada. You depend on us for a lot, and we are happy to work together, but it's got to be a two-way street.
So you did negotiate with Trump, and so you do have a sense of him. And I'm wondering,
yeah, knock it off. That sounds like Joe Biden saying, "Don't."
This is her tone is the equivalent of the liberal Karen in the cul-de-sac that's trying to tell her 2-year-old who's an absolute demon, let's be nice. Let's use our nice words and our nice hands instead of just, busting their rear ends. And guess what? Trump's busting their rear ends right now.
Yeah,
you guys will get a kick out of this. I just got a text from one of the guys that was in Benghazi saying he's watching SDN right now.
Wow. Tell him we appreciate everything you did very, very much. So this took all of literally 2 seconds to find. I got to share this with y'all before we go on. Here she is in another video. She's straight up crazy. If anybody wants to watch a bunch of videos, they came up when I searched on her name, and all I did was put the word eyes afterwards, and a bazillion videos like this came up. She's batshit insane.
There you go.
Shit insane. I don't know how else to describe it. So here she is again. Canadians are furious. Trump is challenging our sovereignty. This is a slightly different video, but I'm not going to play it. What I will say is it really looks like the WEF is going to put her in place of Justin Trudeau. She is getting way more airtime and coverage than anybody else who's vying for the lead of the Liberal Party in Canada. So keep an eye on, I don't know what you want to call her, crazy eyes maybe. Here's another thing that's pretty crazy. A Canadian dollar falls to lowest level since 2003 following U.S. tariffs. The Mexican peso has also fallen to its lowest level in like a very, very long time. One peso now, I want to say, is worth 4.7 cents, something along those lines. So definitely FAFO. All right, next one up. 48-second video here.
Years ago, we bet big on electric vehicles. And we think that in a few years, everybody's going to be driving an electric vehicle, except they're like $90,000. And most of the people who are in Canada are actually Indian people who live off one Uber Eats delivery an hour. So, listen, folks, if you're not driving an EV in the winter and getting stuck in the snow and not being able to charge it, then you're doing something wrong. Why would you want one of those big gas guzzlers when you can have one of these sexy, sleek, homosexual vehicles that track your every movement and can be shut off by the government at any moment if we deem your behavior inappropriate? My name is Justin Turdo, and I stand for anything that people think is gay.
Shut up, butthead. We're never going to score.
Let's start calling him True Homo.
So I'm on board with that as well. I mean, this video probably should be in chapter 3 when we address humorous and zany things, but I couldn't resist it. I felt this was a good time in the program tonight to introduce some levity.
We need some comic relief for sure, but totally could have seen him doing that video as well.
So check this out. Tony Saruga, prolific poster on X. This guy is way, way, way next level intelligent, deep in the tech industry, especially on the big data side. So just love how uneducated both Americans and Canadians truly are. Here are some historic tariffs Canada hits America with. Milk, 270%. Cheese, 245%. Butter, 298%. Chicken, 238%. And the list goes on. These are currently active tariffs that have been enacted over a number of years for American produced products going into Canada. So it's okay for Canada to favor their domestic producers and shit on ours, but it's not okay for us to do that. I mean, that's hypocrites at the government level. We love our Canadian cousins. We just hate your government. Next one up. 2 of Canada's fastest growing food companies are now planning to move their operations to the United States to avoid paying President Trump's tariffs. Midday Squares was initially planned to expand its factory in Montreal. However, with 70% of its sales in the United States, they are now considering expanding to Ohio, Wisconsin, and Missouri. We need the U.S. as a business. It's critical, Midday Squares founder Jake Carls. Flourish Pancakes is planning to do the same as well. The tariffs are already working. So, and there's a couple of even bigger ones than that. So this next one is the end of chapter 1. And a reporter asked Turdo if he's spoken with Trump anytime soon. 23 seconds.
Est-ce que vous avez parlé ou tenté de parler avec le président Trump aujourd'hui ou dans les derniers jours?
Ça fait depuis l'inauguration que j'essaie de rejoindre le président. J'espère pouvoir lui parler bientôt. It's been since the inauguration that I've been reaching out to speak with Donald Trump. I hope to speak with him sometime soon.
He's been ghosted by Trump. Full stop. Like he's been ghosted. Trump's not going to waste any time on him.
This is going to be cool. We're going to be like famous for being idiots.
Again, John, I think we opened something that we can't put a lid back on.
Pandora's box is open. S2 is now.
Fire is cool. Yeah.
All right. So before we pivot to chapter 2, and we've got quite a bit of news in chapter 2, more than usual tonight, we have a short message from one of our sponsors, Sawyer Products.
The Sawyer Mini is the most versatile personal filtration system available. It's a perfect solution for backpacking, hiking, hunting, fishing, scouting, international travel, and emergency preparedness. At a mere 2 ounces, the Mini fits in the palm of your hand and can filter up to 100,000 gallons of water from any freshwater lake, river, or stream. The Sawyer Mini has a 0.1 micron absolute pore size. It was tested to 10 million parts of bacteria and a million parts of protozoa without a single breakthrough. This is the highest level filters can be tested to, so we're confident these are the highest rates of filtration available.
So we have a number of updates with regards to the Blackhawk and American Airlines crash. Quick note, Jeff Nicholas, 20-year Blackhawk pilot, good friend of ours, will be coming on SDN sometime this week. He's a super busy guy. I had a great time. Yep, there you go. Exactly. I have a couple over here myself. I spoke to him at length yesterday. I talked to him for 2 hours, and he's got some pretty interesting information to share with us from a Blackhawk pilot's perspective. He was in Mogadishu, by the way, Blackhawk Down stuff. So here's one of the stories. It definitely struck me as odd, and we mentioned it yesterday, Mike Sterling and I, that this not willing to disclose who the female pilot was. Nothing makes sense when they do that, right? Especially when 67 people have lost their life. So now they're saying that she was lesbian. I don't care. That doesn't really mean anything to me as far as her not being qualified. But there are a bunch of other things related to her service, including she spent the past 2 years as an aide in Biden's cabinet or office as opposed to actually flying. So like anything else, you get rusty when you don't do it. But also, how many evaluations did she pass because they weren't allowed to fail her or because her instructors looked the other way? This is why Trump called out DEI immediately after the crash. He knew. We actually stated at the time that we didn't want to make a bunch of claims and that we weren't going to do the DEI claims initially, even though Donald Trump did. But we qualified that by saying clearly he has information that we don't have. So I'm not saying she crashed, because she was a lesbian or anything like that. But under the Biden admin, she was definitely a double protected class, right? So female and alphabet person. So
what I want to know how she passed qualifications to be a gold top pilot. That's what I want to know.
So bring us up to speed on that, S2. I'm not even familiar with that designation.
She had under 500 hours of stick time total.
Okay.
Behind the stick of a helicopter, a Blackhawk specifically.
Okay.
My understanding was, and I could be wrong about this, I believe they are supposed to have a minimum of 1,000 hours behind the stick of a Blackhawk before they could even be allowed to fly a mission. Then she had to be with Alpha Company of the 12th Air Brigade. And I believe that's one of their requirements.
So what's interesting there, and I'm sure John can attest to this, to be a commercial airline pilot in America, you have to have 1,000 hours. That is the base stipulation. I have a friend of mine who graduated from Embry-Riddle, really good guy. And he was, all gung-ho, ready to go be a commercial pilot. And nobody would let him fly a plane because he was a white male. This is recent, the past couple of years. He finally did get his 1,000 hours, but it dang near took an act of Congress because he was a white male.
Well,
John,
the other part of this too is that if they were running a continuity of government training mission, these are very specific, very precise exercises that they run with this. They're running roughly around 200 feet off the ground, and if you're not training as much as you can possibly get your hands on one of those, you're going to fuck it up. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, so Rob's got a decent point here. If they're going to refuse to release the female pilot names, this is going back to Friday, then they must release who was in control of the chopper at the time of the crash. This was a training flight, and she was the lesser experienced pilot. Good odds she was in control and learning some of the busiest airspace and restricted airspace pockets in the world there. John, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so when you're talking about fixed wing versus roto-powered helicopters, it's especially in a very, very tight, in very, very tight windows of operation, because that's what Washington, D.C. is, because of the location of the airport, where these helicopters are coming from, and what they have to cross over. There's regularly confusion on that, from what I've read and heard. It's one of the most treacherous areas in the country. So having somebody with a low level experience in that kind of a situation is a recipe for disaster. And if this is a regular practice of theirs, I'm surprised it hasn't happened before, because it is 500 hours. I just looked it up. It is 500 hours, and I think she was either under it or right at it. So
She was.
go ahead. Esther.
Yes. Yeah. I think what I saw was. Oh shit! I think it was 545 hours. That,
But
to
when
me,
you look
that's
at
still not enough. That's not enough.
Yeah.
Still.
Well, it's not enough to fly in, that level of confusion and treachery with regards to where the airport is located, the base is close to it, and that they actually have to. I've seen some videos on this where they actually have to traverse that airspace regularly in training flights. So that requires an extra level of caution, which obviously was not taken.
I'm also going to retract that statement. It was 454 hours, not 500.
Okay. And so our in-house resident expert on all things aircraft related, Velcro, has weighed in as I expected him to. Gold Top Helicopters are the elite of the elites. When we have Jeff Nicholas on, Velcro is going to call into that show as well. This guy's a walking encyclopedia of anything aircraft related, and he's owned many of the military aircraft that we cover. Him and his father had a company where they took military aircraft and basically rented them out to Hollywood for various movies. Some really cool movies, by the way. But we'll let him discuss that further when we have him on SDN. So moving on to the next one. Sean Duffy to share updates in the coming days on DCA and Philadelphia plane crashes. So that's a new transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, now that Pete Buttplug is gone. And he issued an update, and it's not very in-depth. So we'll be watching closely for this. The reason I put this in here is just because this is directly from the horse's mouth. We've got some information, but we don't have a lot of information. And the investigation's underway. I'm sure Velcro can weigh in the comment section here, by the way, as to how long it takes to actually investigate this stuff. So next one up, how did this go so horribly wrong? The Blackhawk was alerted, according to the Washington Post. So Army helicopter was told about passenger jet twice, with final alert coming just moments before deadly crash. So right here where my cursor is, 2 minutes advance notice. That concerns me more than people saying that the plane would be visible. After speaking with Jeff Nicholas, his comments on NVGs in an urban environment with lots of lights, a side view of a fuselage, it's not necessarily a given that the Blackhawk pilot would see that. But as to, I'm going to have you speak to how nimble a Blackhawk can actually be and what evasive measures can be, taken by a pilot, which is what Jeff Nicholas did when he hit that a tower in McKinney, Texas. But roll with that for a second, S2.
Well, Velcro and I talk a lot. I've known Velcro for years, and we were talking about this the other day. The Blackhawk is actually not as agile as people think it is. It's actually a flying brick. It's meant to be more of a logistical resupply helicopter and a troop transport helicopter.
I should have said relative to a commercial airliner was my thought.
Well, yeah, and we talked about that as well. If they had 2 minutes warning that there was a jet in their flight path, that would have been plenty of time for them to give it some left yaw and forward pitch and go back down to the ground. And it would have been a peel away motion.
Gotcha.
So 2 minutes is plenty of time for them to have enacted that. The question that I have is, if she was driving that copter, was she in control of it? You had 3 people on that helicopter. You had that you had 2 sets of eyes in the front seat, and you would have one set of eyes in the back seat, which would be the engineer. So 3 sets of eyes looking at this thing. You can't tell me that somebody didn't see this. And with 2 minutes warning, plenty of time to peel off, plenty of time to drop your altitude. And then once again, if this was the case, why didn't the other pilot take over? So he was more experienced. He had combat time even. Why didn't he take over? Were they in control of that aircraft?
Yeah, for me, the 2 minutes is a, I don't know, deal breaker, whatever you want to call it, John.
And here's the thing. When you watch the other angled video, like the first videos that came out were very distant away. You couldn't really see much of anything until the explosion from the collision happened. In the other video that came out, I think it was the next day, the second day, or maybe the third day, you could clearly see the Blackhawk headed towards the plane. It was very obvious. Like, they never altered course. They never changed anything. They just flew directly into them. And that is weird because even you would see that even at the last second, you would see that and you would see some sort of alteration, attempt to get out of the way. Why?
It actually looked like they accelerated.
Right. It's very odd to watch. It's not something that when you see other in-air collisions, it's very much like a couple of years ago, there was one where a couple of World War II era planes ran into each other. And if you watch that in slow motion, there was I think it was a P-51 and a B-17. They crashed at a few hundred feet. Everyone died. But you could see the plane came in and it was trying to peel off at the last second, and they just didn't have time to alter. That would have been one thing, but this didn't look like any evasive actions were taken by the Blackhawk at all.
Yeah, agreed. So this next one, S2 is going to debunk it, but I will say Noel Fritch is the guy behind National File, and he's an acquaintance of mine. The guy has broken some absolutely ginormous stories. He's much like us at SDN. The guy works 7 days a week on this stuff. But what are the odds that helicopter pilot Rebecca Lobach, whose chopper killed 60 passengers in the Potomac River, was undergoing treatment for gender transition? I don't think there's anything really to back this up, which surprises me. Noel would put that out. S2.
No, I've seen pictures of her. She went to UNC was it? Yeah, she went to UNC Chapel Hill here. I've seen numerous pictures of her, and if she was transitioning to be anything, it was to be a dude. She's definitely a chick.
Okay, gotcha. All right, appreciate that. Next one up from Laura Loomer. Not to sound cold, but how does a qualified helicopter pilot get 2 minutes notice of a plane in their path and still fly into it? We have different definitions of the word qualified. There needs to be a thorough investigation upon the release today that there were 2 minutes of advance notice given before the crash. A lot of innocent people are dead. So she's hung up on the same thing as me. 2 minutes is a long, long time. Here's a picture of her with the Biden clown show. Blackhawk pilot. She spent the last 2 years at the White House instead of flying. Why? Which, by the way, all of her social media got scrubbed. So that begs the question, what was on her social media stuff, right?
Yeah, but they all look joyful.
So, John, are you getting the feeling that this is going to be like S2's version of my Mar-a-Lago stories?
Yeah, I think he has definitely embraced the personas here.
I was just going to say embrace is the word. Well done. All right, another one from Laura Loomer. The helicopter pilot was a social aide to Biden, his degenerate White House, helping to plan his events. No wonder they wanted to hide her identity. So, yes, DEI was very much involved in this crash. Trump was right. I don't know that I necessarily agree with that.
I don't either. And I'm going to tell you why. I don't mean to interrupt, but I've read so much on the profile of this woman that she did nothing throughout her college career, throughout her military career, to strive for nothing more than excellence. And she scored high in everything that she did. So I don't want to say that DEI was part of this at all.
And I'm more inclined to say for sure that DEI is the primary reason we have a shortage of air traffic controllers, and because white males couldn't pass the biodiversity test, so they disqualified them as candidates. And so now we have air traffic controllers, one person doing the job of two people, plus underqualified. I will, go 100% on DEI there. But the reason I'm not going DEI on this is, John, question for you. I mean, the female fighter pilots, I mean, you worked on fighter planes, female fighter pilots, there's no freaking way that they're not just outstanding species. I don't know what other word to use.
Yeah. We had a, fighter wing, and then we were attached when I was working on heavies. We were also attached to fighter wings a lot of times. Female pilots in the Air Force are superb human beings. I have nothing but love for them. They have passed everything that they needed to, including SEER training. If you guys don't know what SEER training is, that is the survival evasion training that everybody that is in an air crew on a regular basis has to go through. I have some very good friends, some guys that I just met that were friends, that were SEER instructors. Those guys go through hell, and to get through that and pass it, there are certain things that you have to do. It is not, it is not something that you just, you get through because you're, a different color of skin or a different gender. It's the same kind of hell for everybody.
And speaking of SEER and SEER instructors, we ran into one of the most prolific SEER instructors of all time, Grand Thumb, on our way to dinner with John and Dave and our good friend Keith Graves. There was a bunch of us that night. He's a character for sure.
Yep. And Chris can attest to this. He gave me a hug.
Yeah, he's a decent guy. No, he's not one of these people who's attained a level of notoriety and forgotten where he came from. He's a cool guy. It was funny. I didn't talk with him. I was around the periphery of the conversation, but pretty decent guy.
Yep.
So moving on to the next post from Charlie Kirk. The media doesn't know what it's getting into picking a fight with Trump over DEI and air travel. Here's the facts. And we did cover this last night and even the night before. I'm just going to reiterate it, though. The Obama administration threw out all the results of merit-based air traffic controller hiring test, wrecking the career plans of many people who'd spent thousands of dollars pursuing that career. Then the Obama administration created a new test where they intentionally selected for less capable people merely on the hope that they'd be less white. All of this has been proven in the filings of an extensive class action lawsuit against the FAA. Let me repeat that. Democrats didn't simply create a quota system or discriminate based on race. They deliberately worked to make new air traffic controllers dumber, hoping that diversity would be the side effect. That's how obsessed the left is with DEI and how little they care about protecting the lives of flyers. Conservatives should welcome this fight. Nothing better represents how evil DEI is and how antithetical it is to human life and American success. And that lawsuit was at 900 people signed on to it. Now it's over 1,000, and it's a legit lawsuit. They're going to win. Next one up, I'm not sure if y'all caught this, but a United Airlines flight from Houston to LaGuardia caught fire during takeoff this morning. What on earth is happening?
Hey, Chris.
2 minutes. Yes, sir.
Chris, pick up this comment in the chat up here. Crap, where did it go? There's a lady up in here that posted something that's extremely important about her parents actually being somewhat connected to Fauci.
Right there. Is that it?
Yep.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? There are no coincidences, right? Just to have that few degrees of separation.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, appreciate that insight for sure.
Nope. Sorry.
This video is 2 minutes, 49 seconds. I'm just going to play the beginning so that y'all can see what happened this morning in Houston.
We are following some breaking news out of Houston, Texas, after a United airplane caught fire at Bush's airport right there. It did have to be evacuated. So far, no reports of any injuries, but I did want to share some video that's coming into our studio. Take a listen.
Oh my God. Please get us out of here. This is
All right, so that was some video right there that we did want to share with.
So, do either one of you want to put any bets on whether or not this was a Boeing? So, Boeing has adopted DEI more so than any other plane manufacturer. And you have the airlines will sub out work, maintenance work, those sort of things to Boeing. They have had just one failure after another because of unqualified mechanics. John, I got to go to you. This is in your wheelhouse. DEI adopted by Boeing and the rash of Boeing plane failures over the past couple of years.
Well, it started with I think it was a Supermax, wasn't it? Or
it was.
I forget, a 737 Max or something like that.
It was Max.
They were having all kinds of issues. Which honestly, I flew on 2 of those on the way back there and to and from Vegas. They've worked out the kinks, but as a broader conversation about this, I would talk about the skills of the people building these planes matter. The skills of, because this is not like in the automotive industry where I work, it's similar as far as the way that things are manufactured, but aerospace just has a lot tighter controls for good reason. These things are going tens of thousands of feet above the ground. And in that realm, there is little room for error. It's one thing if you have a Takata airbag that could go off and give you some injuries. It's another thing if you have an aircraft that the wing is going to fall off, or the cabin's going to depressurize at 30,000 feet because of some maintenance practice or construction practice that was done by someone who didn't understand what they were doing. So I think I mentioned this to you in one of our texts, Chris, that it's a sad day that now when you see a pilot that's not a white male getting onto your plane, that questions like this even have to be asked. And that's really what has happened by all of these practices. DEI is that's a question that's going to be in everybody's mind, that, oh, well, we have a black female pilot. 10 years ago, I would have said, yeah, she probably passed everything that she needed to do. And it was probably an excellent pilot in the Air Force before she became a commercial pilot, because that is a pipeline to commercial pilots is the military, a big pipeline. The problem is now that doubt has been put into our minds, that's something we're all going to think. And it's sad because that's not what we should have to think. And because of that, these companies that have embraced this, even embracing it for a couple of years, can be detrimental to people's lives.
They're terrorists.
There's 2 reasons that these large corporations embrace DEI, and Obsessive Audio kind of touched on it. I'll expand a bit here in a second. Number 1 is their ESG score. So environmental socialism, I can't forget what the G stands for off the top of my head. All of these large corporations right now have historically low levels of liquidity, meaning cash in the bank to make payroll, electric bills, so on and so forth. So they have to go to the international, money behemoths, for lack of a better term. And the higher their ESG score is, the lower the interest rates are. So companies like Target especially have no liquidity, and they need lines of credit. And that's why you saw Target pushing the alphabet stuff at the front of the stores, so on and so forth. So that's one of the reasons. And that seems to be kind of on the decline. But the other reason is that when you hire these DEI people, let's remember, these are for-profit corporations. These are lower qualified people that get paid lower amounts of money. And if you pay them peanuts, they send you monkeys. So that's another part to it, is it contributes to their bottom line by discriminating against highly qualified candidates, going with less qualified candidates that they pay significantly less money to. So,
Chris, I wanted to ask you this comment here. What do you think about this?
I can comment on that.
So the answer is yes, but S2, you go first.
Okay, here we go. So, in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Hillary Clinton's Rose Law Firm in Little Rock, Arkansas, was the original attorney representing the inventor of the QRS-11 sensor in BEI Electronics Technologies. So, for everybody that's asking what this is a chip that will allow you to take control of an aircraft in the autopilot system.
Yeah, that's not scary at all, is it?
No.
There was just and I watch a lot of Sean Ryan's podcast or listen to it, and he just recently had a guy on there who is one of these guys that can hack with a USB cable and do all kinds of crazy stuff. If that technology is available for a stupid USB cable, do you think that they couldn't embed that stuff in aircraft?
They've been putting these things. So I'll give you a for instance. If we go back to election integrity, where we've been screaming about this for the last 4 years, everybody was talking about them putting modems into the voting machines.
Right.
And the thing is, these modems can be the size of a grain of rice. That's how miniaturized they can be. And you won't ever find them unless you know what you're looking for.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got so much to cover here. I'm just going to speed things up a little bit. Insurrection Barbie. According to New York Times, 280 out of the 313 air traffic control facilities are understaffed. President Trump has only been in office for 11 days, 8 days when this tragedy occurred. So what the hell was Pete Buttplug doing? I think we all know what he was doing. He was tracking down racist roads that prevented people from getting to beaches. You can't make this stuff up. I mean,
he was trying to secure a date with Justin Trudeau in an electric vehicle.
That actually makes sense. All right. From a source involved in the investigation, something happened on the plane, fire that caused the oxygen tank to explode. So this is the other plane crash in Philly. All occupants were deceased before impact. Up to 3 civilians on the ground died from the crash. Other details are too horrific to post. I don't believe in obscurity on these sort of things, but 47-second video. So I'm going to stop it there. Mike and I looked at this footage last night, and I asked him, I said, does that look like Baghdad at all to you? You know, when he was over there. And he said, yeah, pretty much. Imagine if it had hit one of those buildings that was during the workday that was open. The death toll would have been significantly higher.
Hundreds. It would have been hundreds.
Yeah.
Easy.
So next story, and again, you know, normally we have a dozen stories in chapter 2. I think we've got it close to 30 tonight. That's why I'm trying to speed up so we can get to the funny stuff also in chapter 3. We knew this was coming. We'd been saying this for quite some time, that these mass deportations were going to get ugly. And now we have murder threats against ICE agents spread on social media. And also we've talked to some law enforcement guys that there's been quite a bit of this going on that they've picked up chatter wise. It's not necessarily social media posts only.
Can I comment on this one?
Yeah. Yep. Coming straight to you.
So this kind of stuff is leading directly back to George Soros. George Soros bought 200 radio stations, and I have heard tell, I've seen the post, I haven't actually listened to them yet, but I've heard tell that they have had news anchors on these radio stations literally calling out undercover ICE vehicles.
Wow.
and telling people to go confront the ICE officers.
Okay. That's crazy, isn't it? And that's in line with what we've been told too. I've been told
George Soros needs to have his licenses pulled. Period.
Absolutely. 100%. John, do you want to weigh in on that at all?
Well, this is an unfortunate side effect when you bring a bunch of violent criminals into the country. When you go to start rounding them up, they're going to get violent because that's the only thing that they know. And my thoughts and prayers go out to all of these ICE agents, our local law enforcement that are aiding them. We are it's not going to be pretty, and we never thought it would be. But stuff that needs to be done, a lot of times is not pretty. That's the reality of it. I'm here for it. We've got to enforce the sovereignty of our nation. We've got to create borders, because without it, we don't have a nation. It's stuff we've talked about a million times, and this is not the end. This is just the beginning.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of just the beginning, we will find you and we will kill you. White House to release video wiping out ISIS leader in Somalian cave to spread Trump's message to terrorists. So here you go. Trump following through on another promise. If you spill one drop of an American's blood, we're going to come after you and we're going to kill you. And, you know, we're going to be subject to some pretty crazy terrorist attacks here, but they're going to come at a high cost for a lot of shitbags around the world.
I heard that I heard that dude had a bad case of dandruff because they found his head and shoulders a mile away.
I'll take it. All right. So next one up, it's like a switch was flipped. Border encounters plummet 94% under Trump. Look at this graph and tell me that's not, number one, it's glorious, but number two, this shows you how much Mayorkas in particular was lying through his teeth about the border being secure when we all knew it was not secure. And we have multiple people in our circle who went to the border. I don't know. What else can you say? You've gone from thousands to 126.
Yeah.
Now let's go back and show what it looked like before they got into office.
Yeah.
It's plummeting as fast as the current value of the Canadian dollar.
Yeah. Touche. All right. Massive fire at California refinery reported. America's under attack from within. This happens almost daily now.
Canada.
Right. Oh, by the way, so in one of the videos with Turdo saying, you know, and they have been, for the most part, really good neighbors and they are cousins. But he went on to say how they sent the super scoopers to fight the fires in LA. Yeah, it's not as altruistic as that. They sent two of them and charged us a shit ton of money to do that. That was not a volunteer operation at all. And they won't allow anybody else to infringe on the patents that they have on those planes. So it's a single source supplier. And
so we just build our own.
Yeah, well, maybe we should. Somebody should tweak the patent a little bit. I don't know if they have a design patent or a utility patent. If it's, you know, a more complex utility patent, it's harder to beat than a design patent. But either way, check it out. 23 seconds.
That's a little fire.
Yeah. Especially compared to some of the food plants that we've seen, the hundreds of food plants that we've seen catch on fire. Oh, actually, it looks like it's spread down to another part of the campus there. But either way, turning into, you know, an almost daily occurrence, this sort of stuff. Moving on to the next one. Front in Texas at the border. Are things about to get serious? Check this out. 20-second video. So what I can tell you is that we have had spec ops guys in Mexico forever and ever. That's not a big secret. For the most part, they've refrained from getting into any kinetic conflicts. That is changing and changing very quickly. Thanks to them.
If I had to guess, they probably have a forward recon team already in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely do. We have confirmation of that from some pretty awesome sources, that those guys are absolutely there and have gathered a ton of intel. Next one up here. This is in Florida. This is a crazy video. Would the Democrats pander to illegal immigrants if this was their daughter? This shitbag illegal tried to rape a woman here in Florida. And thank God the police came upon this. This is unreal stuff. I mean, this is why we say we can't let these unvetted people into the country.
Get off her now. Get off her now.
Give us the channel.
Thank God. Thank God. move. Don't you move.
Come here, dude. Come here. You good? 21 says a clear channel. Come here. We're good. We're here. We're here. We're here. We're here. We're here.
Thank you, Jesus.
We got a male secured.
He took it, baby.
Copy a Florida tag, please.
Oh, thank you, Lord.
And when you watch the video, if you're a father, if you're a grandfather, if you're a brother, and you hear those screams coming from our victim, it makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Okay, we got you.
So I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but I got chill bumps on my arms.
I was just getting ready to say the same thing, man. Those are cries of, you know, she realizes what she was going through and that she was saved from something horrible. That's gut wrenching and infuriating that the left for freaking years has been telling us how much bigots and racists and all this crap that we are, while this kind of crap is happening. While these people are coming in and they're raping our daughters and they're killing our daughters and they are doing unspeakable things, delivering drugs that are killing people and doing all of the garbage that our people don't deserve. And, you know, honestly, if I'd have been one of those cops, he might have walked away without an appendage. And you know what appendage I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think he probably got his head bounced off the car a couple of times.
Yep. Those people don't deserve to walk around this world.
Yeah, definitely if it was 25 years ago or so. But I want to just reiterate for the sake of our audience, none of us at Survival Dispatch are promoting the idea that we don't want legal immigrants to come to America. Exactly. But we have to vet who's coming into our country. Mm-hmm. And when people walk across the border, that immediately makes them a criminal. They broke the law. Mm-hmm. And when somebody shields them, that's a federal felony, you know, for protecting an illegal. You got to come in the right way so that we can vet people who come in the right way so that these types of people are not coming in, which is why we've locked the border down. So that it's not that complex, right? All right, let's pivot over to JD Vance. In less than 60 seconds, Vance masterfully explains why buying Greenland is a must. I'm telling you right now, 99% sure is my gut feeling that we will acquire Greenland either as a state or a territory during this tenure of Trump's.
Do you expect the U.S. to acquire Greenland?
I think it's possible, Maria. So here's the thing that I think a lot of folks don't appreciate about Greenland. It's really important to our national security. There are sea lanes there that the Chinese use, that the Russians use, that frankly, Denmark, which controls Greenland, it's not doing its job and it's not being a good ally. So you have to ask yourself, how are we going to solve that problem, solve our own national security? If that means that we need to take more territorial interest in Greenland, that is what President Trump is going to do because he doesn't care about what the Europeans scream at us. He cares about putting the interests of America's citizens first. There's another angle to this whole Greenland thing, Maria, that people don't realize. You've got probably 55,000 people living on Greenland who are not actually happy with Danish government. They've got great natural resources there. They've got an incredibly bountiful country that the Danes aren't letting them develop and explore. Of course, Donald Trump would take a different approach if he was the leader of Greenland.
So, John, I'll go to you first on this one. What are your thoughts as far as acquiring Greenland? It is very strategic for us.
Yes. It's a military and natural resource haven for us. The world is getting more competitive. We're dealing with China trying to flex its muscles against Taiwan. Anybody that's savvy in world geopolitical things understands that would be a big problem for everybody in the world and everybody in the Western world specifically. There's a lot of those resources that we can get in Greenland. What he said about the Danish government, you got to think about this is essentially being controlled by a European country. And when you understand how European politics are currently working, they're very much on the woke WEF side of things. So the reason that they cannot develop and become a more wealthy country through the goods that they have to supply is because they are being tamped down by these evil ideologies that are going through Europe right now. And the WEF is in league with the European Union and all of these other things. So it is very, very important for that. Also, on another note, I do want to say I have been involved in politics since I was a little kid. My dad was a precinct committeeman. We walked the precinct every election season. I have rarely seen a person that is better at messaging and articulating than JD Vance. The dude is a freaking regardless of what he has ties to, the guy can absolutely message. He is a genius at that, and give credit where credit's due there. But Greenland is absolutely essential for at least to become a territory, if not a state.
So here's an idea, and I haven't seen anybody float this yet, but I'm sure somebody smarter than me will come up with a strategy. 55,000 people. If you gave each of them $1 million, that would be 5.5 billion total. That's a drop in the bucket compared to what we gave to Ukraine. I think that would be a pretty dang good deal for America. And I think it'd be a pretty dang good deal for those 55,000 people there for each of them to get $1 million.
Was he talking about is that the population? I'm going to look this up.
Yeah. 55,000 is the population of Greenland. So we're not talking a massive sum of money, that's for sure. But
and give them citizenship to the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's 56. As of 2023, it was 56,865 due to census. So, yeah.
So $5.6 billion. Call it a day. All right. Next up, this stuff here is absolutely infuriating. Happening now, another ICE mass deportation protest. Again, they're all chanting, fuck Donald Trump, fuck Donald Trump. Mexico flags as far as the eyes can see. You'd never guess this was in America. They all love Mexico. They just don't want to live there. Can you imagine us going to a foreign country, burning their flag and waving our flag? I don't think there's any countries other than the United States that would tolerate that. And I don't think we should tolerate it, by the way. I think we need to deport every last one of these pieces of crap. 38 seconds. Yeah, so that's enough of that. S2 will go to you first.
Yeah, Antifa's there on the scene. I'm hearing some chatter about something coming in spring with something about direct action. I don't know where it's going to happen yet or what, but there's something big coming in spring, I think.
Yeah, interesting, John.
Well, they seem to identify themselves, don't they? How many of these people are actually U.S. citizens? How many of them are illegals?
That's what I keep saying. Just have the ICE guys hang out there and round them up as they leave.
100%. 100%.
Round them all up. Doesn't matter if they're illegal or not. Round them all up. Take them down to the processing center, and then sort it out from there.
Let me just make a suggestion for Tom Homan, Mr. Homan, if you're watching tonight. Why don't you just make some quick reaction forces for these kinds of protests?
100%.
50 or 100 agents that are ready to mobilize in strategic areas. And oh crap, ICE just showed up. Hey, we're gonna need identification from all of you guys.
You watch them scatter like roaches.
Yep. It'd be like shooting fish in a barrel, literally. And a great idea. I've thought the same thing myself. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum says she will file a complaint against Google for adopting the name Gulf of America and request that the United States territory be renamed Mexico America. We all know Sheinbaum is terrified of President Trump. It doesn't mean anything she says. She's the most unserious president in the world. I'm not going to play the video. It's ridiculous crap. Ain't going to happen. And you're not the biggest
it's like them trying to sue American gun manufacturers.
Yeah, exactly. Stupidity. All right. Doge taking care of business. The art of mailbox feng shui on the chopping block, 900,000. The $3.7 million study on monkeys and gambling, gone. Grants for Ecuador drag shows, gone. NIH $550,000 Russian lab study on cats' brains, gone. $650,000 study on smart toilets, gone. And the list goes on and on and on. And again, we've got so much to cover. I'm not going to play all the videos because of that. But we've known this has been going on for years, right? I mean,
well, this is a part of the omnibus packages that we always see and we always rail about. These are the things that they're cramming into these things, and they're just enrichment schemes for people that are giving homage to these politicians. Yeah. That's all it is, guys. Do you think they're actually interested in studying monkeys and gambling? No, it's a freaking money laundering scheme.
Exactly. All right, next one up. Acting FBI Director Driscoll has acknowledged in a leaked internal memo that a significant portion of the FBI was involved in investigating Trump and his supporters, stating, "We understand that this encompasses thousands of employees who took part in these investigations, including myself and Deputy Director Kassane." Every last one of these pricks is getting fired. Every last one of them are getting their walking papers. What they did was unconstitutional, illegal, unfounded for a first world country. They got to go. And some of these people are going to get charged. Some of these people will face the wrath of our DOJ. S2.
Yeah, they're going to face the wrath of Kash Patel's what they're going to face. Mm-hmm. Fire them all. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fire
Cash will start the process. Bondi will finish it. So Never Trumper Max Boot likes to call people that disagree with him immoral traitors. Here's Boot in 2017 trying it on Tucker. Classic Tucker clip right here. In 2024, Max Boot's wife was indicted as a foreign agent accused of being a spy for South Korea. This guy's always blamed the other side, meaning us, for doing what they're actually doing. This guy is a total asshat. It's a 6-minute video. I'm just going to play a short portion of it.
And I'm very disturbed, Tucker, when I see you at the top of the show, you and Mark Stein, yucking it up over the fact that Putin is interfering and meddling in our election process, undermining the sanctity of our elections to try to get Donald Trump elected, and that Donald Trump Jr., when he's told that Putin's government wants to support the Trump campaign, he doesn't pick up the phone to the FBI. He says, "I love it." That, to me, is very disturbing. But what's even more disturbing is that you don't think it is disturbing.
Point by point here. First of all, I'm sorry that laughter disturbs you. And you can debate whether or not
this is not funny, Tucker.
Trump,
I'm sorry. This is an assault on our democracy.
I get your view there, Max. You can debate whether or not what he did is a crime or falls under the Espionage Act or not. But to dismiss people who disagree with you as immoral, which is your habit, isn't a useful form of debate. It's a kind of moral preening, and it's a little odd coming from you, who really has been consistently wrong in the most flagrant and flamboyant way for over a decade. And so you have to sort of wonder, like,
what have I been wrong about, Tucker? What have I been wrong about?
Having watched you carefully and known you for a long time, I recall vividly when you said that if we were to topple the governments of Afghanistan and Iraq, the region would be much safer, and the people who took their place would help us in the global war on terror. Of course, it didn't happen. I was there when you said that.
On me, Tucker.
I'm not getting holier than thou. I'm merely saying
you supported the invasion of Iraq.
You have been consistently wrong, and many people have been wrong. I've been wrong about a ton of things, but you try to learn your lesson. But when you get out there in the New York Times and say, we really should have done more to depose Gaddafi because, Libya is going to be better when that happens. And then to hear you say we need to knock off the Assad regime and things will be better in Syria, you sort of wonder, like, well, maybe you should choose another profession, selling insurance, house painting, something you're good at. I guess that's kind of the point. Is there no sanction
Tucker,
for being as wrong as you
I would
have?
Be happy. I would be happy to hold up my record of foreign policy prognostication against yours.
So we had an article a couple days ago that was John that said that AI from a static picture can detect whether or not somebody is gay. And we put it up in chapter 3. And my response to it was, I don't need AI to tell me that somebody's, not right one way or another. I don't need anything to tell me that this guy's crooked, because they all have the same mannerisms. And some of us have a better bullshit detector than other people. It's not hard to tell somebody like this is full of shit. It always starts with the righteous indignation. Sorry to use the word righteous. I know it's righteous savages, but righteous indignation always makes my radar go up. And what's this clown trying to hide?
Well,
that's
and
Trudeau's boyfriend.
And this is very reminiscent. His reaction when Tucker starts to name things that he's doing, very reminiscent of RFK and his hearing when he was talking about Bernie Sanders being the #1 receiver of big pharma money, and how Bernie just whoa, no, that's not, and just talk over him. That's exactly the reaction, and that's when your BS meter goes, oh, somebody touched a nerve. And somebody touched something that they didn't want exposed.
I had to do some serious trimming to get the sit rep down to a reasonable level for tonight. So one of the news stories that I pushed to tomorrow are the actual numbers received by Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, all of them. It's $24 million last year. When you count all of the different parts of big pharma, it's not the 1.4 or 1.5 million. It's 24 million.
Bernie got 2 houses out of the deal too.
Exactly.
Well, Bernie is the guy that has done nothing and gotten enriched off of that, but I digress.
Yeah, exactly.
Thrown out of a commune for not doing any work.
So breaking, the DNC is in utter chaos right now. Florida Democratic Chair Nikki Fry just came up and confused the entire committee with her gender talk nonsense, and they had to get the parliamentarian out. She was our, Department of Agriculture head, which, don't ask me why, controls concealed weapons permits in Florida. She is a complete asshole. She's spent the past few years bad-mouthing Trump, hardcore alphabet, LGBTQ, whatever. 52 seconds. Listen to the nonsense. These guys have learned nothing as far as connecting with the American people. By the way, there's only, I think, 31% of Americans right now that say they would vote for the Democrats if another election was held today.
I move that we suspend the rules, and instead of dropping the bottom vote getter on the next ballot, that we drop all candidates that have 0 votes. In addition, 6 that are gender balanced also be removed on the next ballot. So basically,
Our parliamentarian wants to clarify what the motion is. Go ahead, Madam Parliamentarian.
Chair Freed, you said 6 by gender balance. Do you mean 3 and 3, or do you mean 6 and 6?
No, 6 total. So 3 and 3 based on gender.
They don't even understand their own vernacular for all this make-believe, 378 genders and all that bullshit. So we can move on from there.
She's a homo too.
Oh, we've created a monster, John. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates is calling on governments around the world to crack down on the platform of ex-boss Elon Musk's free speech rights. So we've covered this ad nauseum, right? I mean, I used to travel and speak on behalf of Sun at multiple trade shows, and I had the Microsofties who followed me around, and my advantage was I had 1 foot in the server room and 1 foot in the boardroom, and it was easy pickings, and it was very entertaining. But, I've known him for decades now, and again, I come from high tech. This guy brings nothing to the table other than he's a thief. He's a liar. We're going to see all kinds of stuff come out on him, by the way, with Epstein. No fans or buts. I don't know if you guys want to add to this, and by the way, just to state the obvious, nobody elected Bill Gates. We can move on. All right. So we're going to start off chapter 3 now, right away. And Secretary of Defense Hegseth has officially canceled Pride Month. He actually canceled everything except for stuff that relates to the military. This is awesome. At the end of the day, John, you haven't been on for a little bit, for a few days, and I probably sound like a broken record, but for me, if we're discussing anything related to our military, the litmus test is, how does this contribute to our lethality? And if it doesn't, why are we doing it?
Nope. Lethality and preparedness for the lethality.
Yeah.
John's been laying pipe for the last couple of days.
He has been. So, I'm trying to remember what his name is. There's a blind musician in Canada he's got some very interesting music, and one of his songs is Laying Pipe. David Wilcox. Look up David Wilcox Laying Pipe. It's not a bad song, but it's funny as heck. So we also featured this week the 600-pound rapper who was trying to get into the lift car, and the guy was like, no, my car can't handle you. So Airlift is now available for those plus size.
So, it's Meal Team 6.
Oh my gosh. I did love that clip because when she's arguing with the dude, she literally gets out of breath just talking.
We found a spoof, John, that was absolutely hilarious. And this girl's, arguing to get in the car, and the guy's like, no way, man, I got 10-inch wheels. I ain't got 24s, can't handle you. It's hilarious.
That was funny.
It was funny. All right. So in case anybody missed this, Gen X, which is S2 and myself, I don't know if John squeezes in.
I'm borderline. I'm a late Gen X, early millennial, depending on what chart you go by.
We're going to call you a late Gen Xer then. So for quite some time now, at least the past 20 years, the SBA, Small Business Administration, and the branches that fall under the SBDC, Small Business Development Center across America, has classified Gen X as the workhorses of America. We work more hours, more days than any other generation in history. And a big part of that is because we came after the baby boomers, which exceeded us many more numbers, and yet we had to continue working to keep the economy going with what they built and pay their pensions and stuff. So it's a kind of a hallmark of being Gen X, being a workhorse. But this guy puts a pretty fine point on it. 22 seconds.
You dumb motherfuckers. You done fucked around. Now you're about to find out. Just in case you didn't realize it, with the exception of Caroline Levitt and a handful of others, everyone on Trump's team is a Gen Xer. Yeah, that's right. The feral kids from the 80s. We told you, stop poking the fucking bear. You wouldn't stop poking the fucking bear. And now the bear's in charge. Good luck.
You're watching.
Fuck around and find out. Yeah.
Like I said, he puts a good fine point on it. This one is freaking crazy. What the bloody hell was that? 17 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be a little bit of a surprise, huh?
I would need to change my shorts after that. Holy crap.
All right. So Steve Inman, I love this guy's commentary. I hope the phone is okay.
Welcome back to Brazil, where we have this desperate coward who snatches this phone out of this elderly man's hand and booyah! Instant justice.
Oh.
Like a cup of freaking noodles. My God, he gets hit. Here. Most of the time, these videos end with someone taking a lettucilla nugget to the dome or taking one to the snot locker, but not in this case. Karma decided to make a cameo and enter this guy into the next drag show. The 17-year-old thief would eventually die in the hospital later that day. Is it really worth getting deleted over and ending up on the ludicrous cam? Oh, bitch, get out the way. Get out the way, bitch, get out the way. Oh, bitch.
Good riddance. That's kind of like, I think I sent a video. I don't know if you played it yesterday, but of the old man in his car basically deleting a freaking.
It's in tonight.
Okay, I will not say anymore. Yep.
Yeah, and for those people who are new to Survival Dispatch News, Chapter 3 for us is all zany memes and videos. We want to leave a smile on your face when you leave. Unfortunately, I've gone from being 55 years old going on 15. I'm going to be 56 on Wednesday, so I'll be 56 going on 16 years old. Maybe they'll let me get my driver's license then. All right, moving on to the next one here. Oh, this is fantastic. 10 tips for illegals to avoid ICE. All right. Number 1, go back home. Simple but effective. Number 2, obey immigration laws. Studies show the best way to avoid being charged with a crime is not to do anything to break the law. Number 3, take off your sombrero. You'll be less identifiable and blend in with every other Juan, Ricardo, and Geraldo. Number 4, resist the urge to lead an armed gang to forcibly take over an apartment complex. It may be difficult to resist this urge, but your willpower will pay off. Number 5, don't rape anyone. This activity may draw too much attention. Number 6, learn English. Making a convincing case to be the governing authorities is much easier when you can actually speak a language they understand. Number 7, cut back to less than 1 murder per week. ICE is targeting violent criminals first, so go easy on the murdering. Number 8, get your MS-13 face tattoo removed. Laser removal may be pricey, but it will help you be less conspicuous. Number 9, ask Selena Gomez to hide you in one of her mansions. She's got several of them. She reportedly has a soft spot for illegal aliens. And number 10, find the perfect hiding place like Venezuela. ICE will never look for you there.
This is reminiscent of Chris Rock's How to Avoid the Police video back in the late 90s, early 2000s. By the way, me and Dave watched that when we were in Vegas and just laughed our butts off. Still hilarious. Worth a watch.
That is too funny. That came up in my X feed a couple days ago, and I just watched it again as well. So it must be doing the round. Somebody's
Shut up. Get away from it.
Somebody's resurrected it. That's just freaking funny. All right, moving along to the next one. This is live TV.
Als je de mooiste
Southbound. This low-lying
those international cities might
thing it so
What's that?
кто-то довольствует.
Oh, the kids laughing always gets me. All right, make him go viral.
Imagine if I went to Africa and I wanted to live there, right? And all of a sudden, Africa wanted to deport me back to my homeland, the United States of America. And imagine if I went and I protested against Africa and I was lifting a United States of America flag in protest, saying I wanted to stay in Africa, but waving this flag from another country. How crazy would that look? How crazy would that be? That's exactly what's happening with people that are protesting right now in the United States. They're lifting up flags from different countries in protest of being deported back to those countries. Think about that. How wild is that? If you love that country so much, why don't you go back over there? But let's be really honest. Instead of you sitting there lifting up that flag from another country, why don't you lift up the flag from the United States of America and say, hey, I want to stay here. I love this country. I appreciate this country. It's a blessing to live here. I don't want to go back to any other country. And you wonder why patriots and United States citizens like myself are fed up seeing this stuff, because you're ungrateful. You don't appreciate the blessing it is to live in the United States of America. If you did, you wouldn't lift a flag of a foreign country that didn't do nothing for you.
He's oppressed.
Amen to him. This next one is on the long side. I may not play it all, but this is a fed up New Yorker telling liberal protesters how he really feels. Fair warning, lots of profanity.
fucking life. That was, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Hey, sir.
Fucking jerk off.
Sir, can I ask you a question for YouTube? Sir, can I ask you a question for YouTube? I'm pressed. I'm pressed.
Get these clowns out of here. They're a fucking clown. This guy Biden's sleeping. He shits his pants. You don't see that shit, you don't. Thank you. Thank you, sir. You guys are fucking joking. This city's turning to shit. And I bet you're going to vote for horrible, fucking horrible. Right, Hogo? And AOC! And fucking AOC! Fuck AOC! You don't like that shit, right? AOC! Fuck out of here, man. These people are clowns. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Fucking left wing. Thank you. Jerk off! And a vote for Hochul is a vote for horrible. Look at you, say nothing. Nothing.
Can you believe the mouth on that guy from New York? Have you ever seen a New Yorker like that?
No. I was actually just getting ready to say that is the most classic depiction of a New York man that I've ever seen.
And our friend Golf and Guns would agree.
All he needs is a slice of pizza. And
There you go.
Yeah, but he's good.
Obsessive Audio always has good comments. Some proper American rage. Into that.
Not white rage. No.
I can't believe what I just listened to. The DNC leader interrupted the party election to tell members that not enough non-binary candidates have been elected, so they must now vote for one. With the results of the previous 4 elections, our elected officers are currently 2 male and 2 female. In order to be gender balanced, we must elect 1 male, 1 female, and 1 person of any gender. And Democrats wonder why America didn't vote for them. I'm not playing 2 minutes of this crap.
That's stupid.
When we have a gender non-binary candidate or officer, the non-binary
What the fuck is this shit over here on the right? Seriously.
individual.
Oh, that's genders.
That's the makeup.
Gay.
shit.
It's gay. That's what it is.
It is gay and retarded.
Female, and the remaining 6 offices must be gender balanced. With the results of the previous 4 elections, our elected officers are currently 2 male and 2 female. In order to be gender balanced, we must elect 1 male, 1 female, and 1 person of any gender. So again, this is what we have to do for this vice chair race.
And who did they elect, by the way? What's that pencil neck guy who's anti-gun? David Hogg.
David Hogg.
Yeah. So actually, I just added another video to tonight's broadcast, only because you missed it earlier in the week, John. And this is actually a really appropriate time to play this anyway. And I'm probably going to play this on a regular basis now. All right, here we go.
Today, I am signing an executive order making it legal to call your friends fags and retards, faggy or retarded. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to start calling our friends this again. And we will. We're going to call them fags and retards again. Today, I am signing an executive order making it legal to call your friends fags and retards if they are doing something faggy or retarded. Fags and retards, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to start calling our friends this again. And we will. We're going to call them fags and retards again.
Make facts great again.
Yeah. You can thank me later, John. All right. Here's your video, by the way, John. Next time some boomer is talking, all you need is 6 rounds of .357 Magnum. I'm just keeping my mouth shut. This is a carjacking, by the way. The carjacker didn't make out too good.
Yep, that is the risk of trying to carjack some dude that has a .357 in his hand.
My original weapons permit was with a .357, and that's back in the day where you could only carry what you qualified with in Texas.
Can I share something? This is something I posted, but
of course,
this is a video that I made. So give me just a second here.
Well, while you're doing that, let me get up the next one here.
Yeah.
New video of actor Evan Fonts imitating the White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt.
Right, let's get to it. First question, Bob, you in the front. Hit me. What you got?
Caroline, any comment on President Trump's insults yesterday?
About the last administration?
Yes.
Couldn't agree more.
Seriously?
Oh, what? I'm sorry, Gary. Did the last 4 years not suck enough for you? Is that it?
Well, Caroline,
No. Shut the fuck up. Why do you think a dozen eggs are $13 right now?
Well,
huh? Why do you think
Caroline,
that?
calm down.
I am calm. We'd also like to add
Jesus.
that, hold on. Peter,
What?
Don't start this shit with me again.
What did I
all
do?
right?
I don't.
No. Hold on. I'm the youngest White House press secretary ever. You want to know why? Because I don't give a fuck Please don't hurt me. Jesus, dude. No wonder your wife won't sleep with you. What I was saying is that we're adding 2 new seats for TikTok reporters and independent journalists because apparently America is sick and tired of y'all's bullshit. What, Mark? What? Everyone's thinking it. I'll say it. Who the fuck is watching CNN? Peter, you keep glaring at me like that. The president's next executive order will be deporting your kids. You got that? Back row. Sorry about these little bitches in the front. Go ahead.
This is more of a personal question, Caroline, but how are you doing?
Ashley, that is very sweet of you. Honestly, I'm doing pretty good.
Great.
Except for the chronic ear pain that I have.
Ear pain?
Yeah. Listening to all of Peter's dumbass questions. All right, that's all the time I got for you fucks. I'm out.
Love it. Love it. There you go. This is what the DNC thinks that the young men of the country wants for leadership of the party here.
Are you ready to go on the offense? Are you ready to go on the offense? To win back our young people. I am the only candidate in this race for any of these positions that is under 30. We had a 20-point shift to the right of our young people. We must show our young people we give a damn about them.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country.
Says the fag in the retard.
Yeah. Well, I would say
David Hogg needs a tampon.
Well, I'm just going to say they couldn't have picked a perfect leader to lose with.
Exactly. All right. Did you know goats fall over and get stiff because of a condition called myotonia congenita? Pardon me. When their muscles stiffen involuntarily when they are startled or excited. 1 minute, 2 seconds. Pretty funny stuff.
Oh, this is hilarious.
Out of my flowers right now. You get out right now. We do it. Oh.
I don't care who you are. That's some funny shit right there.
That happens when my muscles get stiff too.
This dude hops everywhere he goes.
Yeah. Saw that coming.
Pretty athletic, if nothing else.
That dude is crazy athletic. He does like the running, cleaning his house stuff. It's freaking insane and hilarious at the same time.
Right on. This is 2 minutes, 26 seconds. I'm just going to play the beginning. So here are the entitled government employees who are upset that Trump is making them go back to work.
I'm a federal employee and Trump is trying to ruin my life. First, they sent us a notice saying you have to go back to work in the office full time. And if you don't want to do it, you have to let us know by the first week of February. And you have to leave this position by September. Yeah, I work from home every other week. And I live extremely far from where I work because I can't afford to live in certain areas in the Bay. And now he's telling me I cannot work from home every other week. I have to come into this office every day. And if you don't,
Boohoo, cry harder.
Get a bus pass.
Yeah. All right. Breaking: Bishop Marion Buddy's Episcopal Migration Ministries collected $53 million from government programs in 2023 for immigrant resettlement. Now we know why she gave Trump the multicultural Marxist lecture. She warned him because money was on the line. The immigration resettlement programs are much larger and more profitable than even Gavin Newsom's homeless resettlement programs. Has this program been deleted from federal government spending yet? Tagged Doge in it. She lives in a $1.6 million mortgage-free home, by the way. And now you know how she could afford that.
Looks like a dude to me.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Looks like a dude with a rouge.
She's that wench that went off on Trump.
Yes. Yep.
During the inauguration. This is pretty brutal here.
How the heck? How the heck?
Was that an illegal alien?
I'm guessing so. I'll tell you a funny story. I was getting gas years ago in Port Orange, Florida, and I hear squealing tires, and I turn around and I look, and there was a guy coming across a very busy intersection, US 1 and Dunlawton, which I don't know, there's probably about, all totaled, maybe 10 lanes. And I look around, and here's this Mexican looking guy with his bike all busted up like a friggin' pretzel. And he's running down Dunlawton, and people are yelling at him, "Hey man, where are you going? We're going to call the ambulance and stuff." And he's just gone. And then everybody started laughing. It was like, clearly he's not here legally. He would rather run than face ICE. All right. Here's another old man video, John. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's good.
Best way to deal with road rage is to have a gun right next to you at all times. If anybody gives me trouble, I just pull out my little 45 hand cannon there from my Vietnam days, blow out their rear window. They leave me alone after that. If you're the kind of person that likes to cause trouble on the road, just be aware there's people like me out there. So the next time you feel that road rage coming on, wait till you get home. Take it out on your family or your dog. That's where it belongs.
He's not kidding, by the way.
Except for taking it out on the dog.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Update: war with cartels is coming. Sources report that the War Department is preparing a massive strike on major narco cartel targets inside Mexico, including drug labs and weapons storage sites.
Yep.
Burn them all. It costs them so much money that they decide to leave us alone.
Yeah, bring it. Hello, Trump. Do not mess with ISIS. Duck. And everybody's having a conniption fit over eggs being expensive thanks to the Biden admin killing 100 million chickens. Mind your business. I need eggs. All right. No more joke. Send money. Just block your bitch ass. He's in the same category as Turdo, where he ain't getting no more love from America. By the way, the first 9 days of Trump's tenure, second tenure, 7,200 illegal migrants arrested. And that number is rising daily and fixing to rise dramatically. Donald, you ain't seen nasty yet. Oh, please, Jesus, no nudes. The only thing that would have made that meme better is if he said no nudes with Christmas trees. Because we know how people
dude, that is just a combination you did not need to bring up.
Well, I mean, the lady who tried to steal the Christmas tree by shoving it up her vagina, for the time being, is the all-time funniest moment on SDN, bar none.
Hey, you take it easy on the Trump shooter's grandma.
Right.
Have you seen those side by sides?
Yes. Here we are with Justin Turdo in the arms of his father, Fidel Castro, next to, holy shit, what was her name again? She was Trudeau, begins with an M, Margaret Trudeau. Took me a second to dig that one out of my memory.
She's a dude too.
Yeah, well, she was having an affair on Pierre Trudeau. And those planes came flying in on September 11th, and they were like vroom, vroom, zoom. And the people were like, and I was like, why do the planes hate our freedoms? Every so often, we got to throw something in it to make fun of George W. Bush. Cuba, notorious for brutal political prisons, condemns Trump's plan to use Gitmo for illegal migrants. There's no irony there whatsoever. 4 more years.
No!
And actually, today was Groundhog Day, and as expected, he saw a shadow, and that means 4 more years of Trump. And this may be on a meme, but that is Chuck Schumer's wife. I kid you not. Go look it up. This is not Photoshop. It's a fucking dude. There's no other way to square it. It is crazy.
Yeah, baby.
Exactly. It is friggin'. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen an uglier woman than Chuck Schumer's wife, and it's not a woman. It's a
We're gonna score.
Yeah. Oh my god. Hard pass on that. All right, next one up, to-do list. Pretend, hallucinate, silence those speaking truth. This is the Liberals' daily task list. Lord knows we've seen tons of that. So next time Selena Gomez or some other entertainer wants to cry about the illegals, maybe think about shedding a tear for the large number of Americans murdered at the hands of illegals. And before somebody says, that Native Americans or Americans in general commit more crimes than illegals, these are preventable deaths. This is blood on the Democrats' hands. These people should not have been in the country. The question that everybody is asking, is it safe to fly now? I'm glad that I don't have any immediate plans to fly anywhere. My best self ever.
That's the brother of Schumer's wife.
Oh
husband,
my God.
whatever you want to call.
The mental illness run. I don't know if you guys caught this, by the way. 9s and above are not illegal, according to Trump. And that really is somebody who got deported.
Yes.
And there you go.
Hotter than 90% of Hollywood.
Yeah. Your leaders and idols are on our list. I don't know that there's anything on the list of things that I want to see more than that, with all the details. I want to see them all exposed, every last one of these sickos. I think
not in a skiff.
Yeah, there's going to be some stuff that comes out that is going to be absolutely shocking. So the sooner, the better. All right. Just loading up the next batch of memes here. U.S. tariffs, Canada and Mexico tariffs. That's about it. Picture says 1,000 words. And here's Donald Trump is going to enhance the wall this time around. Mega border solutions.
Hey, they finally listened to me.
Hey, if he got, I'm sure he could get Ron DeSantis to loan him or donate about 10,000 gators for the wall.
We've got a shit ton of pythons that are not indigenous to Florida. They can have all the pythons they want. They're destroying the Everglades. What liberals do to every city and state they govern. So think back, not that many days ago, Gavin Newsom, in advance of Donald Trump going to LA, was saying Donald Trump's full of shit. There's no water that can be redirected, blah, 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 blah. And Trump sent in the Army Corps of Engineers, and they opened the spigot. And since they've opened it, the last number I saw today was 5.4 billion gallons of water redirected that was going into the ocean is now going to Southern California. All of these droughts, self-inflicted, and creating horrible fire conditions, self-inflicted. And why? Yeah, why? Because it's climate change. It's not a dam, it's climate change. And therefore, we need a one world government to battle climate change because it's an existential threat. And if this doesn't explain the damage that legacy media people does to people, I don't know what does. Picture says 1,000 words. And there's Mr. Pipe Cleaner Got pipe cleaner arms. Gun control activist David Hogg, elected vice chair of DNC. Not an ounce of testosterone in that kid's body.
Your
The
next
bastion
generation
of
of money
leftist-
launderers.
This is what leftists think masculinity is these sniffling little weasels.
Yeah, this is hilarious. So anyway, after my shift at McDonald's, I bought a garbage truck.
Find
Need a
yourself a
babysitter?
woman that looks at you like she's looking at Trump right there.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, there's some really good memes from that moment there. She was very friendly to him. And there's some people who would suggest that Jill Biden and Joe Biden both voted for Donald Trump because they were pissed off that Obama essentially ended Joe Biden's career. So anyway, next batch of memes coming up right now. All right. So Al Gore's $9 million mansion, 0 solar panels, but morons still listen to this guy. We've been listening to this clown for years say Florida's going to be underwater in 5 years. There's going to be no ice in the polar ice caps in 10 years, whatever. Every single thing has been a lie. It's complete bullshit, again, in pursuit of a one world government. It's the only way we can save the world against climate change. This is the mentally ill man RFK Jr. is replacing. You can shove your criticism, RFK Jr., straight up your deranged ass. I second the motion. I don't want to see it, but I second the motion. And check this out. Top left corner, the office of Kamala D. Harris. 404. This page is unburdened by what it's being. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. And you know, legitimate question. Why did Noah build an ark when he could have simply paid more taxes to stop climate change?
I mean,
Wait a minute. Didn't they arrest climate change out in California?
Several climate changes. Yes, that's correct. John?
Say what?
I thought you were going to add something there.
No. It's you know, let's ignore the realities and just pay taxes.
All right. From David Hogg, you have no right to own a gun. You are not a militia. When you're talking about your Second Amendment rights, you're talking about a state's right to have what is today the National Guard. The modern interpretation of 2A is a ridiculous fraud pushed for decades by the gun lobby. Readers added context. While individual opinions about the proper reading of the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution differ wildly and have for generations, the United States Supreme Court has ruled that it does protect an individual right to bear arms with certain limitations. No limitations.
This is there's more than just the Second Amendment. This is always what gun grabbers want to ignore, is that the founders, multiple founders, clarified what it meant, what the militia meant. And it said it was the whole of the people. Every individual person is a part of the militia. We didn't have a standing army back then. So the context was these rights are for every individual in the United States, not states, individuals.
Correct. And to defend us against tyrannical governments, which we've seen explode in recent years. And this is a great troll on Trump's part. We shall see what happens on that front. Survived 250-mile-per-hour crash, shirt gets pulled. And Elon Musk posted that. He said, is soccer even a real sport? Cry all you want. He's doing exactly what I hired him for. I
100%
strongly agree with that. Don't like America? There's the door. Get the fuck out. I think this might actually be Mike Sterling. Me at work thinking a coffee is going to magically put me in a good mood. Where are you, Democrats? Why are you letting these two idiots destroy the country? Do something now. Start impeachment proceedings. Blow up the White House. Anything. Just go on. Don't go on TV and talk about it. Do something now. This was one of many threats against Donald Trump that are on the interwebs on a daily basis. Every last one of them needs to be arrested. Every last one of them. Sloppy J.B. Pritzker, your governor, John, the rotund governor from the once great state of Illinois, who makes Chris Christie look like a male model and whose family wanted him out of the business because he was so pathetic at helping them run it, has presided over the destruction and disintegration of Illinois at levels never seen before in any state. Crime is rampant and people are sadly fleeing Illinois. Unless a change is made at the governor's level, Illinois can never be great again. Absolutely.
You know what JB stands for, right? Jelly bean.
Right.
I'll tell you what, that guy gets bigger every time I see him on TV.
Many jelly beans. All right. You stay safe, I'll stay free. You stay compliant, I'll stay defiant. You say bah, I say nah. That's well said. I'm quitting The View and moving to Canada.
Oh, whoopee.
Yeah.
That's how we get to comply.
In push for diversity, military canine units to give equal opportunities to Chihuahuas. That's how silly this crap is.
Yep, that's actually a perfect depiction of what this looks like.
Yep. All right. Libs, mega. That's too freaking funny. It's about freaking time. Secretary Hegseth orders Tim Walz stripped of rank for stolen valor. He ran a campaign based on lies. That is freaking awesome. You know, it's about time these pathological liars that are nothing more than paid actors pay a price for all the lies that they tell. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to add to that or not, but next one. Go ahead.
More of that to come, please.
Yeah. When I first heard that Trump took out the leader of ISIS, I thought he got Obama. Tell me that wouldn't have been a glorious day. You'll never get rid of all the agents involved in J6. You'd have to fire the whole FBI. Your terms are acceptable. I second that one.
It's called hiring people, Cash.
Yep. It's called a smart city because if they called it a concentration camp, you might not want to live there. They're friggin' 15-minute cities. Here's another one. He needs to be assassinated immediately. I hate this man. Seriously, I hope the cops are visiting every last one of these nutcases and charging them. I know there was a guy in South Florida a couple weeks ago who did this, and he was promptly arrested, and it was in West Palm Beach, which is where Mar-a-Lago is. They can't get away with it. Serious. It's got to end.
They don't like it when it's done to them.
Yeah, exactly. Democrats waiting to complain about grocery prices. 21 to 2023 hold. 2023, 2025 hold. January 21st, 2025 now. And it's ridiculous seeing them complain about grocery prices when it's, you know, the illegitimate president that occupied the office. I can't cope with Trump. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Let's go to San Francisco and shit in the street. That'll cheer you up. My goal is to find a relationship that lasts as long as the construction on I-35, and I second that. I-35 splits, of course, in Denton, Texas, and west goes through Fort Worth, and east goes through Dallas, and they hook back up again south of DFW. I've never seen it not be orange barrel season. It's orange barrel season 12 months of the year.
No, well, and for Illinois, it's I-57. Constant construction.
Yeah, I mean, it cracks me up. People talk construction season.
They've been working on the same. They've been working on the same stretch of highway here between Greensboro for the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. A lot of it's because they give them incentives. You know, if they only work at nights and, you know, they're not disrupting traffic, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, moving on to the next one here. The people that created the crisis are complaining Trump hasn't fixed it in his first week. That's about it. Most voters under 30 believe sex offenders should be castrated, and latest sign of increasingly hardline views among Gen Z. Gen Z is pretty based. I saw this picture and I thought to myself, well, we have to put that up there just to show how widespread this mental illness is in our country.
The rainbow jihad.
Yeah. Good way of putting it. How do you surprise a blind man? Leave a plunger in the toilet until we meet again.
I love the He-Man memes. This is freaking great. Skeletor, these are great.
Yeah. So that is an actual picture of Chuck Schumer and his wife. There's no way you can't tell me that that's a dude. There's no way. Absolutely no way.
Dude, if I was married to her, I'd be gay too.
Yeah. I wouldn't fuck her with Schumer's dick and Obama pushing. So.
And on that note, I'm going to go drink bourbon.
Listen, we have a disclaimer on chapter 3. You will, well, number one, you have to see it because I had to see it. So that's the rule. And if you need therapy, that's okay. I can't get a job because of Trump. All righty then. We pay hundreds of billions of dollars to subsidize Canada. Why? There is no reason. We don't need anything they have. We have unlimited energy, should make our own cars, and have more lumber than we can ever use without this massive subsidy. Canada ceases to exist as a viable country. Harsh but true. Therefore, Canada should become our cherished 51st state. Much lower taxes and far better military protection for the people of Canada, and no tariffs. And again, Trump is paying 5D chess. He's got a plan here. Oh, and here's everybody's favorite Democratic faggot on X, Harry Sissons. It's quite a rig he's riding there.
Quickly trying to go to his threesome with David Hogg and Justin Turdo.
Yeah, mental image we all need, right? First lesbian to sink a Navy ship. First female pilot to crash a helicopter into a passenger plane. Harsh but true. I have 1,800 nuclear missiles, 283 battleships, 9,400 planes. I spend more on my military than the next 12 nations combined, and despite spending more every year, I still feel insecure. It's simple. You have a military industrial complex. The reason I chose this is because we are now seeing, thanks to Doge, the ridiculous amounts of money that are being paid for stuff. We are getting completely ripped off. And my concern is, and both of you are welcome to comment on this. So we take everybody's defense numbers, like what they spend on their defense. How much of, the almost $1 trillion a year that we spend on our defense is complete bullshit and us just being ripped off? I suspect it's more than what we think.
And here's the other side of the equation, Chris, is like when I was in the military, I helped with our what do they call them? Expendable tools, or our parts that were replaceable. So we had a lot of like just hardware, like washers and nuts and bolts and all this stuff that we would use generally to replace parts that were worn out. I remember finding a brass washer that you could buy at Ace Hardware for probably 4 cents a piece, right?
Okay.
You want to guess what the Air Force was paying for those?
$10.
It's close. $9.75. You could have bought hundreds of them for what we were paying for one. That's the kind of stuff that goes on. And that's on little things. Imagine, once they get these government contracts, and don't fool yourself. A lot of these government contractors are in bed with politicians, and that's why they're charging these exorbitant prices. It's a money laundering scheme.
Correct.
It goes deep.
It's bad. It's really, really bad for sure. We are almost done with chapter 3 here. The insurance policy to take down President Trump has failed. It's time for these traitors to go to jail. What a glorious thing that would be.
Pieces forgot Obama.
Yeah. Democrats, the test results are back, and Donald Trump is your daddy. Good old Jerry Springer. Free speech, federal hate crime. How can you tell your country is ruled by a hostile occupying regime? It's ridiculous. You can burn our flag and run around with a Mexico flag. You can't burn an Israeli flag, but you can burn our flag. It's just total BS. All right, this one take me a second to read through it. Obama's mission objective, aka Barry Soetoro, by the way: destroy capitalism, bankrupt the economy, create a new world order, never create jobs, no transparency, support Islam Sharia law, leak national security, cause riots and uprisings, declare martial law, proclaim himself dictator, control the mainstream media, force socialism on America, shred the Constitution, force Obamacare on America, control the public, force radical Common Core standards into our schools, divide people with racism, party, and class, keep a shadow government so he can't be impeached, no borders, allow illegals to vote and get on the dole, support the Muslim Brotherhood, treason, persecute Christians, Jews, and the Tea Party, make religious institutions pay for abortion services, reduce our U.S. military, build his own personal army, cover up scandals, Benghazi, IRS, and data to NSA, seal all records that show he is an illegal president, lie about Americans keeping their health care, take away First Amendment, take away Second Amendment, hire Chuck Hagel, a sworn enemy of Israel, manipulate and control the public towards communism. He is the worst thing that ever happened to America, bar none. Nobody has come close to the destruction that he's caused at the orders that he's taken all these years from John Brennan and Klaus Schwab and George Soros and the rest of them. And this is the Obama effect in action right here. Show me an American ghetto. I'll show you a place where Democrats are in power. And the last one, this is a good one. 34 seconds. I may actually play this twice. Check out the size of this flag. All gas, no brakes.
America.
That's a badass flag. I don't care who you are.
We got an RV park out here that flies a flag that big. Actually, it's a lot bigger than that. It's like the size of an RV.
Freaking awesome. Gotta love it. I've got a 7-second message from our partners at Flex Industries. So flexindustries.com, discount code SD17, S is in Sam, D is in David, 17, get 17% off. That's an AR trigger. That's the 3MR it's called. They have a brand new AK Flex trigger that's got some pretty badass performance. They have another trigger for Glocks called the G Flex, which unlike a Glock switch is completely legal. They're good guys. They support us here at Survival Dispatch. We appreciate when you support them because that allows them to continue supporting us, which allows us to work 90 to 100 hours a week to put together extensive situation reports on a daily basis with the truth. I like to describe it as the truth for the simple reason that we digest everything far left, far right, everything in between, decipher what's true and verifiable versus what's not, and we give it to you in a daily curated report, the situation report, and then we present it. And those people who don't have time to watch the podcast each night, you can just go grab the sit rep, and you, if nothing else, you will get the truth. And you can just go to patreon.com/survival dispatch. Free membership gets you about 50% of our sit reps. Paid membership gets you all of our sit reps, plus an invite to our private signal chat where S2 literally carpet bombs people with intel and information that you can't get anywhere else. There's a bunch of other benefits to it as well, but just go to patreon.com/survival dispatch or click the link below. S2, a grok/conflicted question of the day.
Okay, let's see here. What unconventional items have you found to be invaluable in your prepping kit?
John, you get to go first tonight.
Hold on. Give a shout out on this bad boy. It's a custom made blade that my cousin makes. And if you guys want one like this, they're not that expensive, but this is all made out of a lawnmower blade. And this will hack through just about everything, because if you guys don't know, lawnmower blades are made to hack through things. So they're about $60 to get them made. Loveless Customs is the name of the Facebook place where you can get them. He ships them all over the United States. But
Man,
that was kind of that. It's, I mean, that's gnarly. But
Brilliant.
unconventional blades are obviously a conventional thing. Honestly, dude wipes or some sort of wet wipe. They are invaluable when you're out and you can't take a bath and you can't take a shower. Hygiene is the #1 killer of people when they're not in civilization. You get dirty, you get filthy, and guess what? Your health starts to plummet very quickly.
Yeah, well said. So I've got to pull this up just so I can show it. My answer is probably not as good as either of you guys, but we had, I can't remember, something like 5,000 of these things. Let me pull the screen up here. So it actually set my yard on fire with these things. So tiny survival guide. And so it's the size of a credit card. It has a Fresnel lens inside of it. So a Fresnel lens, a magnifier. It's only a 4 times magnifier. When we got the first shipment of these a few years ago, we had some leaves in our front yard that had kind of blown up against the walkway right in front of our house. So I took it out. I took the Fresnel lens and, like a kid, used it as a magnifying glass to start a fire. It started a row of leaves on fire. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to stop our front yard from burning down. But here's the thing. The tiny survival guides, and we're sold out. I'm not trying to sell these to anybody. The Fresnel lens allows you to read the stuff that's inside here. So you're talking something like, I want to say 242 or 272 survival hacks, for lack of a better term. We have them in all of our bags because there's stuff in there. I could read it, but if I don't practice it, it's not like it sinks in. And so this is our reference. Maybe it's not super unconventional, but I actually collect these things. So I've got about half a dozen different versions of them, and it's good to have on hand if and when the shit ever were to hit the fan. S2, bring it home.
I don't have any unconventional items. All of my items are conventional because that's my opinion. However, what I do look at is what of my items are multi-use.
Okay. Good.
Oh, yeah.
An example?
Well, I'll give you an example of the Bowie knife that I carry. It's overall about 11 3/4 inch Bowie knife.
Okay.
Of course, you can use that for whittling if you want to. You can also use it for splitting wood by batoning the back of the spine into a nice piece of wood. And I've been told here recently that the one that I made was actually tested to do so. And then, of course, you can dress this thing that's sharp enough that you can dress a deer with it, dress game with it. And if needed, you could use it for hacking off a terrorist arm.
Well, alrighty then. It can't be overstated though, and you guys are just like me. There's nothing better than quality knives. That though is a badass idea, John. Kudos to your cousin.
Yeah,
John,
that's not a knife. That's a knife.
You might get this, John. Yeah, want some French fried taters with that? Yeah.
Yep. Partner split his skull in two.
I'm telling you, we opened a can of worms with the whole Beavis and Butthead.
Ain't got no gas in it.
He's quoting Sling Blade right now. Billy Bob before he turned into whatever he is now.
Right. All right. Well, that is it. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hold on, time out. We got a great video from Dilly Meme Team to wrap up here. I think it's a couple minutes long. Let me just double check it. It is 2 minutes and 9 seconds. It's a great video from Dilly Meme Team. So I hope you all enjoy it. We'll see you tomorrow night. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and God bless America.
Hoorah.
If you are an individual, a foreign national, who illegally enters the United States of America, you are, by definition, a criminal.
Promises made, promises kept, with President Trump taking immediate action on his top campaign focus, fighting illegal immigration.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, continues to carry out targeted enforcement actions around the country, including in our area where Border Patrol agents are already making deportation arrests.
I've been trying
trying to get more answers from Palm Springs police about what exactly happened on January 24th. We know 5 people got deportation arrests and 3 people received trespass warnings. The question now is why? A question we've been trying to get answered all day.
The heroes of ICE have arrested thousands and thousands of illegal alien criminals, including hundreds of gang members, traffickers, child predators, terrorists, and murderers.
You hear me, babies? Good. Real good. Adios.